All right, kids. What is the most famous example of someone losing their job? They can be real or fake, a politician getting voted out, a pundit not getting their contract renewed, may even include a basketball player getting traded. Whatever. My answer? Well, I thought of a person whose unemployment is both memorable and a mystery, which is why it's popular. We still don't know why this guy got fired, but it's been 30 years and we're still getting explanations and excuses.
We do all understand Craig did steal them boxes.
Yes, we do.
Okay, all right. You can actually see the boxes in the background.
You always want to point that out.
I do want to point it because I feel like there's a part of the community that we want to rod for Craig, like Craig got fired unfairly on his day off, but Craig did actually steal some boxes.
Okay. Those creators never showed a clip or a picture as proof of what scene they're talking about, where you can see the boxes that Craig Jones in Friday, played by Ice Cube, stole in the background. So before I continue, that got me going. Y'all know how I am. I got to looking into it. That was Ezel, local crackhead from Friday, looking like he's stealing boxes in this director's cut scene of the movie. Keep in mind though, this took place Friday morning and Craig got fired the day before, on Thursday. Besides, you can see cords coming from what seems to be stereo equipment. So are these the boxes that those dudes are referring to? Ain't no way. Also, Craig told Smokey that they ain't got him on tape, but that doesn't necessarily mean he didn't take anything. It's just not recorded anywhere. With that said, we're about to get a more famous firing.
I am floored. Are you floored? Because this is just goofy. You are officially a very goofy man, Brigitte. But I gotta give it to you, you've definitely got balls. Fire everybody around you, and I mean literally everyone around you who told you that this was a good idea, that this was a very good idea for you to be the first sitting first lady of a country to file a lawsuit against a journalist of another country. You are literally making history in all the wrong ways.
Candace Owens. She will find a way to misquote Friday somehow. And you know this, sir, or something like that. We don't talk about Candace much over here. I don't want to give her the attention, just in case she likes it, positive or negative. And when she no longer worked with the Daily Wire, PragerU, and Turning Point USA for one reason or another, white guys who need a black face to say anti-black stuff incorporated. I never thought it would spell the end of her grifting or she would be rebranding, but now she might be getting herself fired on her day off.
You were born a man and you will die a man. That's the point I'm making. So give us a sample. I'll send my doctors to take your blood. We'll figure it out real quick, however you want to go about this. Hey, how about just giving us some pictures again of you growing up, raising your children? That would be fine.
The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, and his wife Bridget filed a defamation lawsuit against Candace Owens a few days ago due to her claim that France's first lady is really a man. To that, Owens said, "This lawsuit is littered with factual inaccuracies and part of an obvious and desperate public relations strategy to smear her character." Meanwhile, a spokesperson for Owens called the lawsuit itself an effort to bully her after Bridget Macron rejected Owens' repeated requests for an interview. The Macron said they sued after Owens rejected 3 demands that she retract defamatory statements. Quote, "We gave her every opportunity to back away from these claims, but she refused."
What I was told from somebody that's pretty high up at the White House is that Emmanuel Macron is holding up negotiations to end the Russian and Ukrainian war unless you stop speaking about his wife.
This take has been typical for Candace the last few weeks. She goes from merely referring to herself as a podcaster or a journalist to touting that she has Trump or his administration on the text. And that's kind of the problem, her influence. It says a lot about her, but not as much as her saying, "I don't know who needs to hear this, but if you have to file a lawsuit in a foreign country to prove to the world that you are a woman, it is because you most certainly are not one." And another time, in one of her Instagram stories, she posted a picture of Bridget and Emmanuel and said, "I will be coming for this wig today." And girl.
Cause see, I ate twice before I came.
God damn!
She shouldn't be coming for anybody's hair. And I shouldn't have gone after hers. Sorry. Yet, that's almost an instance of her not being self-aware. She recently tweeted that she would stake her entire professional reputation on the fact that Bridget Macron is in fact a man. And her reputation is of a teen who needed the NAACP when she was being harassed and discriminated against by white boys and got red-pilled only after becoming an actress in a talent agency, although that might not be true. Will claim to never have had race issues and will back the worst of the worst if it's profitable and meets her ideological narrative, which has earned her 4.5 million subscribers on YouTube alone. She has made a killing off of absolving white people of any and all responsibility when it comes to social and economic injustice, and yet she's somehow not called a race hustler. Oh, and I guess this isn't asking for a handout from the government.
Emmanuel Macron and Brigitte are saying, you know what? We don't like that podcaster in America. And we are going to launch a lawsuit that's never been launched before, an unprecedented lawsuit to impoverish her for speaking. And both J.D. Vance and Trump have not issued a statement. In fact, where are the journalists even asking them to make a statement? Okay, a state leader is speaking about your constituent and launching a lawsuit and saying you're going to impoverish them for executing their First Amendment right. Where are you?
Trying to impoverish her? She's about to get Alex Jonesed. Neither President Trump or VP J.D. Vance care about the Constitution or the First Amendment specifically. Also, freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences, but it does mean Congress won't arrest you for what you say. For now. And seeing how Candace is looking for protection from people in charge, if this country was a school, what she would be doing is picking a fight and pretending like she's bad about it. Don't judge me, I'm an elder millennial. She's like, why you getting loud? What you talking about? Only when teachers are close so they can step in before it gets real. Besides, the government has no reason to break this up. Candace has already burnt that bridge.
I want to be clear. I don't regret voting for Donald Trump above Kamala. I think he was the better candidate, certainly a better candidate above Joe Biden. But what I will say is that he's been a chronic disappointment. And I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him because this wasn't going to happen and it is happening.
I don't get it. None of it. Why this? Why now? I mean, I know most things about Candace can be boiled down to grifting, but she made a 9-part podcast series featuring almost 8 hours of material called Becoming Bridget, which has almost 3 million views. Sure. However, this is about a conspiracy theory that a woman is secretly trans and is almost also her own brother, or maybe just has his name, as well as being a blood relative of her husband. Hardly seems worth it. However, having good arguments isn't her thing. Here's a tweet of her saying, I think it's perfectly reasonable to ask Crayola what exactly is the point of the white crayon, and colored construction paper exists, but at least she's finally questioning whiteness in America. We'll take what we can get. She has doubled down since Macron v. Owens was filed, a 22-count complaint as part of this 219-page lawsuit, and there's no way she read it or studied or did her homework. With that said, another conservative commentator who bet not open his mouth about anybody else's relationship, by the way, has.
Yeah, so here's the problem, and if you read the entire filing, and I read 100-something pages of it last night, they actually already did directly send proof to Candace. Said pictures, childhood pictures of Bridget. They did send evidence of Bridget's biological motherhood of 3 children. They did send pictures of her of her wedding when she was young. And there already is sworn testimony, for example, from the children and from the, I don't know if sworn testimony, but the previous husband. So she's now moving goalposts and saying, take a blood test. They did also, by the way, send the birth announcement, not a certificate, but an announcement. So newspaper clippings, pictures, sworn testimony, evidence, and this has all been provided to her for a long time.
When the worst person you know just made a great point. I want to take the opportunity to introduce you to lawyer Thomas A. Clare. His clients have included Fortune 100 companies, CEOs, celebrities, military officials, and Dominion Voting Systems, which won a $787.5 million defamation settlement in a high-profile case from Fox News in 2023. Claire was one of the lead attorneys for Dominion, which sued Fox News for putting out false claims that Dominion voting machines were used to rig the 2020 U.S. presidential election. And according to the University of Notre Dame's law school, and by the way, to that private Catholic college with an angry leprechaun as its mascot, get a little bit. Anyways, their alum, Thomas Clare, has devoted his legal practice to defending people and companies against big-time reputational attacks. That's his pleasure. Like Pops.
Just bang, bang, bang up his ass. That's my pleasure.
And while that Dominion result was one of the biggest settlements ever paid in a defamation lawsuit, more importantly, it was reached in a Delaware Superior Court, which is where the Macrons filed their lawsuit. Plus, real quick, Delaware Superior Court Judge Eric Davis, who presided over the Dominion case, said he had not seen as good of lawyering during all his years on the bench.
So you're not going to try to have the case dismissed?
I certainly do not want to have the case dismissed.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I've never
so
heard that
we're having,
before.
we're having these discussions.
Guys, I just want to linger on this for a moment, having been around a lot of lawsuits. I've never heard anybody sued, particularly they're spending a lot of money on this because Tom Clare and his wife have big expenses and I think they charge a lot. I've never heard anybody say, I don't want a well-funded case against me to be dismissed.
Yeah, I'm glad he admitted it. Tucker Carlson and Fox News knows a thing or three about getting sued based on what they broadcast. And they especially know who Thomas Clare is. Now, during the interview, Owen said that she wanted discovery in this case. Discovery is the formal process of exchanging information between the parties about the witnesses and evidence they'll present at trial. It is designed to prevent one side from being ambushed in court when there's no time to obtain answering evidence. That, per the American Bar Association. Additionally, the ABA says discovery occurs before a trial begins, when each side needs to put forth evidence or request documentation the other party has in their possession. Candace Owens has nowhere to go. No one to turn to. Not even right-wing media respects her. But for different reasons than us.
Because you're a black woman, because you are a semi-articulate black woman. You're like Obama. She don't talk with that Negro dialect. She was a black woman who did the conservative grift, and she rode that tokenism doing fucking Blexit for 10 years, making millions of dollars, and then married into a wealthy family, and then discovered there's something going on with Israel after only everybody started to notice. Now you want to call me out, the OG? Well, that was your first mistake.
Nick Fuentes called her all manner of B words on his show, but when they were together on Candace's show, he didn't keep that same energy. He did tell her about herself using his Twitter fingers, though. He kept telling her to make him a sandwich. Misogynar? Yeah, but that's also the title of her new book. Make Him a Sandwich: Why Real Women Don't Need Fake Feminism. Need I remind you, or her, that she is married with 4 kids, but continues to work outside of the home, and even if she took her husband's last name, she doesn't use it as part of her platform. And do you know who afforded her that? Owens was on Surrounded not too long ago talking about how women want women to be men, and women will be more fulfilled at the end of their lives if they stay at home in order to take care of their families. And never mind the fact that this is no longer sustainable in post-1950s America. And housewives took a minor tranquilizer at that time called Milltown because they were overprescribed, and due to not being satisfied as a housewife and being treated poorly by their husbands and society, they weren't happy. As someone on this debate told her, Candace Owens is a mom and a millionaire, doing her thing outside of the home. Would that make her either unfulfilled or like a man? Is there room for her to do and be both? Who created that space? If you think making your husband a sandwich is a sin, but popping your vagina into another woman's vagina in front of the world is power, you are a lost soul. For one, false equivalence and false dichotomy. 2, popping that what into what? That's not how this works. Who is Candace Owens arguing with when she says, making my husband a sandwich is not submissive, cooking for your family is not submissive? Yes, a good woman should take care of her family, and yes, a good man does the same. My relationship is healthy, You can't say the same, so maybe take some notes. I mean, congrats on the status update of her marriage, but okay, somebody jot down the timeline between when her and her husband met, got together, got engaged, and got to the nuptials, then took this baby shower photo. It's all good. I mean, not ideal, but there's no magic number to a successful matrimony. I just learned that there's not only a 25-year age difference between Emmanuel and Bridget Macron, but they started dating when he was a teenager and she was one of his teachers. Her daughter was once one of his classmates and later became his stepdaughter. Candace could have kept it there, but she had to go anti-trans, didn't she? To sum this up, Candace Owens is uncancelable since 1989. That's not about to be put to the test because cancel culture isn't a thing, but conservatives need it to act like they're being censored during press tours for books they've published. Evidence for cancel culture being fake can be found around Candace. Her husband is wealthy, but she's also rich, and she's an independent content creator. She's not going anywhere. I mean, Alex Jones kind of got his show back for the time being due to a technicality. Yeah, she will lose if this situation goes to trial, and her pockets and wallet will be lighter. And if you were wondering, Entertainment Now asked Ice Cube flat out if Ezell is the reason Craig got fired on his day off. Ice Cube said no. And I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I'm going to give the last word to a fighting Irish?
Are you not worried at all that the fact is that this is a disturbed individual, Candace Owens, who loves attention, loves the fact that we're talking about her on CNN? She doesn't, whatever happened to her as a child, like she doesn't care that the attention's negative, she just likes it?
Yeah.
And you're bringing her more?
Yeah, I mean, it obviously goes into the mix, and we did not do this as our first choice, but Jake, if that mindset allowed the Macrons to sit back, that's how disinformation takes root.
Right.
That's how disinformation wins, is you've got to take that first step, and you've got to take a principled step, and I applaud the Macrons for their courage in taking this on.
We gonna be all right.